Today on Screen It or Stream It, we're doing our top 10, 5 each, countdown, most shocking betrayals in movies. That having been said, a spoiler alert is in effect for this entire episode because you can't talk about shocking betrayals that the audience didn't see coming without spoilers. So, take it away. What's your first one you got?
All right, my number 5, and you have been warned. Spoilers. So, my number 5 is Benny from Total Recall.
Oh, yeah!
And so Total Recall is a movie I love.
Yes.
It probably doesn't stand up quite as well as it did today. It came out
88, 89-ish?
Somewhere around there. It's
90,
getting a little old. Mm-hmm. Sci-fi sometimes doesn't age that well.
Yeah.
But Arnold is on Mars,
Yes.
and he's basically an evil corporation has control of the water supply and the air supply, and there's these mutants that have developed from having bad living conditions on Mars. And Benny is one of the mutants. He's helping Arnold through the whole thing. And then right at the end, he was working for the bad guys the entire time. Yep. And Arnold catches him lying or something. He said, I got 5 kids to feed. And Arnold said, well, I thought you had 6. He said, oh, man, I'm lying. I ain't even got kids. Just a great scene. And
he was an awful guy, yeah.
He was.
Turned out to be.
Awful, terrible guy.
And he seemed so friendly up front, too.
I know, and that's why I made my list of greatest betrayals, is just because, I never questioned the fact that he was on the good guy's side. Why wouldn't he be on the good guy's side? He was a mutant like all the others. So, anyways, that was my number 5, Benny from Total Recall.
All right, for my number 5, I am going with Katniss Everdeen from Mockingjay Part 2. Which, if you remember, right at the end of the movie, she's supposed to execute President Snow, the big bad guy, and instead she shoots President Coin dead, betraying her completely. Now, strictly speaking, Coin was a very bad person, so she needed to be betrayed, but to me, that's what made that so much more shocking, is because this whole thing's been from Katniss's point of view, and there was no hint whatsoever she was going to do that. None at all. And then she just totally turned on her and, set the revolution to what it was. So that I thought was a pretty shocking, and that's why it made my list, because I just didn't see it coming. So,
well, there's some things that people are probably going to question, like, you didn't put that one on the list. A lot for me, my list is stuff that just had a deep,
right?
Like I was like, oh my god,
right? And this is subjective. It's surprising to us.
And that one is not on my list. I didn't. I mean, it was like, oh. But for some reason, it didn't resonate.
I've never heard of anyone else picking that as a shocking betrayal, but to me, it was quite shocking. My wife read the book. She said it was totally shocking in the book, too. So, I don't know. I don't think I read most of them. They were good books. Read them. All right, what do you got? What's your next?
All right, number 4 is Hobbs from The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I have never seen that.
This whole Humphrey Bogart movie, he's basically it's like during the Depression era, he's down on his luck, man. He's moved to South America to try to get a job. He's just an honest man looking for an honest day's work to get paid. And he's got a buddy, and they come across an opportunity to go in on this gold, not a gold mine. Basically, somebody's found gold in the hills, and they pool their resources, buy some gear. They go out in the mountains. They run into this. It ends up being there's a third man, and the 3 of them are basically working together, and they find gold, and they're getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, by the second. And there's no reason except for greed, for the ever to think possibly there would be any type of betrayal, any type of backstabbing.
Because they're all getting richer together.
And there was lots of external factors. There was, like the natives, there was the bandits, and there was all kinds of stuff they had to worry about. So the entire movie, you're thinking, okay, how are they going to survive everybody else, and how are they going to get out? And in the end, Humphrey Bogart just succumbs to the greed and basically leaves him to die and runs off with all the gold. And he kind of goes mad, and it's kind of a neat, I don't know what like a development of his character is. You can watch the greed just tear him apart, and it's really funny too, because it's just literally over the course of a couple of days. It's not like it's just like, oh, a nugget, oh, another nugget, you must die. But first of all, it's Humphrey Bogart, and that was one of those I did not see coming. I didn't think there was any reason for that to happen. And when he went bad, he went bad.
All bad. I'm going to have to watch that one. I had not seen that one. So, all right. For me, my next one, I am going with Anakin Skywalker, Return of the Jedi. When he was Darth Vader. So right at the end of the first 6 movies, Darth Vader standing by the Emperor, his one loyal friend for, 20, 30 years they've been together, and they're killing off the last Jedi, electrocuting him to death, and then Darth Vader says, nah, you're gonna die now. Tosses the Emperor into a hole, and he explodes. Didn't see it coming. It was great. That one is a little... I thought of it as shocking in hindsight because I was so young when that movie came out. Actually, I was not born when that movie came out.
No,
but the point is, in hindsight, I realized at the time that must have been a really shocking thing, and it stands up now that I'm thinking about it as, yeah, that was kind of a twist, because they'd spent, 3 movies turning him bad, and then 3 more movies saying, nope, he's just bad, he's killing everybody, and then he turns again.
I don't think I've ever heard of anyone actually refer to Darth Vader as Anakin.
Well,
I know he is, but I just
that was my shocking betrayal, because I was making you think the first time Anakin turned on Mace Windu was what I was talking about. But no, that one you kind of saw coming. They did a whole movie building up to that. So
you were being clever, and you were too clever for me. So.
That or not clever enough. Let's not jump to conclusions either way. What's your next one?
All right, my number 3 is Amy from Gone Girl. If you've never seen Gone Girl, good Lord, is this a good movie? And
was that the one where the wife
Ben Affleck
faked her own death?
Yes.
That one. Oh, that's a good one.
So Ben Affleck in the start, like the movie starts, his wife has gone missing.
Oh yes.
And so for most of the movie, you're following, or at least a good half of the movie, you're following Ben Affleck around, and there's this mystery: did Ben Affleck kill her or didn't he? And he does these weird things, and he acts in weird ways. He doesn't respond to things the way a grieving husband should.
Right, and then of course all this other dirt comes out that he's having an affair, and it just gets so bad.
And you waver back and forth. Oh, Ben Affleck did it. Oh, he didn't do it. Oh, he did it. And then turns out in the end, no, the wife framed him.
Yeah,
she did it all to get.
Wasn't even dead.
Wasn't dead. So, oh my God,
it was great.
And that is my number 3 because
that one was
totally
shocking.
Did not see that coming. I was like, oh my God.
Excellent choice. Oh my
That was
gosh.
such a good movie too.
In a very dark and sinister, depraved sort of way. I highly recommend it.
Woo.
Okay, so my number 3, and this one is kind of ridiculous. The only reason it made my list is because it was completely shocking, out of left field. I got a cartoon in here somehow. I'm going with Prince Hans from Frozen.
Yeah, I never saw Frozen.
So,
didn't want to.
Since you never saw Frozen, it's a musical. I know you're not a fan of that. I will explain. Well, I will sum up. Basically, it's about these 2 princesses, Anna and her sister, whose name I just forgot, Elsa. It's been a while. Anyway, one of them has this like frozen ice powers, and so she ends up kind of being the evil queen character, even though she's not really a bad person. She's just misunderstood. So she ends up kind of running away, and then Anna's trying to get her back. And this prince shows up, Prince Hans, and he and Anna fall in love really quick. Seriously, they have a song in 10 seconds and fall head over heels for each other. So she leaves him in charge of the kingdom. She goes to rescue her sister, who accidentally shoots her in the heart with the ice, and so she's dying of a frozen heart now. So the only thing that can save her is true love's kiss. So they race her back to the castle, get her to Hans, and leave them alone, and explain to him the situation. He has to kiss her to save her, because it's true love's kiss, and he says, oh, Anna, if only there was someone here that loved you. And then he explains that no, he's going to rule now, because she's going to be dead. And they exchange their vows or whatever right at the last second. So then he's going to hunt down the sister, kill her, and he will rule. It was a complete turn on the head. And I've even seen some funny memes about it, that people, like a father and daughter watching the movie, and their first little song where they're falling in love, oh, it's so cute. And then the second time they watch the movie, hey, he's evil! It was a shocking betrayal. For Disney, it was very well done, shocking betrayal. I was surprised.
Does Hans have a brother named Franz?
One would hope. He was the last of 6 or 7 brothers, and that's why he came to steal their kingdom, because he had no shot at his own throne. So, anyway, Frozen, Prince Hans, he's an evil bugger.
Nah, it's still Frozen. Don't like it.
That's fair. All right, what's your next one?
All right, my number 2 is Mr. Orange from Reservoir Dogs.
Oh! That I have seen. Yes.
So you got Frozen, I got Reservoir Dogs. So, in Reservoir Dogs, there's a group of guys. They're brought together. They're all criminals, and they all have code names and their colors: Mr. White, Mr. Brown, Mr. Orange. And they pull this like jewelry store heist, but it all goes wrong. The cops show up, and a couple of them make it out, and they go to this warehouse to hide out, and they're trying to decide. Like, they know someone betrayed them.
Right.
Like, there's no way the cops got there that fast. They had to know we were there. It all went wrong. They know something's wrong. Well, in the process of getting out of the bank or the jewelry robbery, Mr. Orange gets shot. They're doing everything to try to save him. He spends most of the movie bleeding on the floor, dying. And then come to find out, Mr. Orange is the cop. He is the one that betrayed them. And they've spent the whole movie trying to keep him alive, trying to help him, while they're trying to figure out who could have possibly betrayed us. And it was him after all. And again, this is high on my list. It's
Tarantino, right?
It's high on my list not only because was it shocking to me,
it was,
but because of how much I like this movie, and so that kind of bumps it up the list. I really think probably like Amy would have been a bigger shock to me,
had you liked the movie more.
Yeah, but I think just because of my love for Reservoir Dogs, I had to bump this one up the list.
And I didn't even think of that. Don't know how I did not think of that. I love that movie. It's great. So that's a good one. All right, for me, my number 2, I'm going with Robert the Bruce, Braveheart. Shocking. So, if you've never seen, was that one of yours?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, Braveheart, you've got fighting for the freedom of Scotland. William Wallace is trying to unite everybody, and the one guy who can actually do that is Robert the Bruce. He's kind of not really the heir to the throne. The Scottish monarchy was kind of in disarray. Of course, the history versus Hollywood on that one is a little sketchy, but the gist of it in the movie, that's all we're talking about, is the movie, not the history. The Bruce promised William Wallace that, yes, I will come, I will fight with you, we will unite the clans, and we will crush the English and throw them out of Scotland. That was the plan. And then, through the course of the battle, the Bruce never shows up. The Scottish get whooped, and in fact, a couple of their other guys betrayed him too. They almost made the list, Mornay and Lachlan or whatever their names were. And they just turned off with the cavalry and rode away, leaving the infantry to get slaughtered. So William Wallace has a moment of desperation, grabs up a sword, jumps on a horse, and rides after the English king to cut him down. But of course, he's got a bunch of guards, one of which turns around and with a lance or something, knocks William Wallace off his horse. Of course, he's got a helmet on, you can't see his face, and then he comes down to finish the job, apparently, or we assume. And through a brief struggle that ensues, the helmet falls off, and lo and behold, it's Robert the Bruce, the traitor. So it was shocking and devastating, and the man who is fighting for the people just sits down and waits for them to kill him, because he's so done with all of it, because he was just so totally heartbroken over the betrayal. That was a good one.
So when I was trying to make the list, this is one that was on the list and then off the list and then on the list and off the list.
On a lot of people's lists, I bet.
Well, I mean, it was on my list and off my. And the reason was, like, I was like angry enough, I think, to probably yell at the TV during. I'm like, really? But the reason I wavered on this one, because it is a great betrayal. But the only thing to me was, like, the shock wasn't there.
Really?
Well, I mean, because I got kind of a gradual build to the shock. Because when you know, like, everything hinges on Robert the Bruce being at the battle. And I'm just thinking, oh, he better show up. Oh, he better show up.
And then he's late.
And then he does it, and he's like, oh, no, he screwed him. But instead of being this, like, oh, it was like, oh, no, he didn't. Did he? Did he really do it? Oh, he did. He's totally. Now, when the helmet came off, I was very shocked that he was there.
Yeah.
But I kind of you got this, like, 5-10 minute run of
right, where you weren't sure, you were thinking maybe.
And so, I don't know, it was such a, but it didn't have the one, to me.
The punch, yeah.
The gut punch. I mean, it did, but it was a drawn out instead of an instantaneous, oh my God, I didn't get the, oh my God, I just got the, no, don't you, oh, he did. And so I wouldn't say, oh, I saw that coming, but I saw it coming about 4 seconds before. And that's why I wavered. I was like, do I put that on a list? Because I don't know. I tried to make a criteria for myself, and that didn't fit the criteria. But that's a great one.
Well, thank you.
I just
wavered. Yeah. All right. So what is your number one?
All right.
Your favorite?
My favorite one is Verbal Kint, The Usual Suspects. And
I need to see that again. It has been too long.
So, The Usual Suspects, there's this...
Kaiser Soze?
Kaiser Soze.
Okay, yeah, I have seen it.
All right, so there's this group of guys. They're going to, bad guys, rob people, do all this nefarious stuff. And when the show starts, it's already gone wrong. They've already been captured.
Oh.
And they're talking to Verbal Kent, and Verbal Kent is Kevin Spacey, and he's telling the story. So the entire movie is told through flashbacks of him telling the story. And he's telling you all this and that and the other, and this and that and the other. This happened. This is what happened. This guy did this and that. And he was just a pawn in the system. And you sit and listen to the entire story. And in the end, they let him go because the plan fell through. Nothing really happened. He really didn't do anything. And he kept talking the entire time about this mastermind. Put them all together, brought all the guys together named Kaiser Soze. And anyways, after he leaves, the detective that's interviewing him knocks the coffee cup off the desk, and on the bottom of the coffee cup is Kaiser Soze. And he realized that he had been drinking. He had read the name. And then he looks around the office, and the names are like the wanted posters on the walls. And so his entire story, everything in it was fabricated based on the stuff that was on the walls and around him. He just made the entire thing up. And then as he leaves, you realize he is the mastermind. He is Kaiser Soze. He was the guy that put it all together, and he had the entire thing planned. And this one and Braveheart are the two, I wavered, and I swapped them back and forth.
Yeah.
And the reason is because this one, he betrayed the guys. He betrayed everybody and got them caught. But again, it was this very long, gradual, kind of drawn out.
And you still didn't see it coming.
But didn't see it coming, but you didn't even see the betrayal. It happened. So I was like, the gut punch wasn't for the betrayal. The gut punch was for the
reveal.
Holy crud, he's the guy.
Yeah.
But the reason this one won out for me instead of Braveheart was just because the level of the oh my god was up there.
All right. Well, my number one pick, my favorite betrayal, I'm going with Carter J. Burke from Aliens. I love that guy. I love to hate him, because he's just awful. So, Aliens, of course, the sequel to Alien, which also had a really good betrayal in it, actually. Ash. Yeah. Anyway, Aliens. So, they're going back to this planet, LV-426. Yes, I'm a nerd. And they're going to see, because there's some colonists there and they lost communication. So, they're going to see, is it okay? Is it not okay? So, they're taking Marines with them this time, which means violence.
And we like violence.
So, they've got Ripley from the first movie, who's the only survivor. They've got a bunch of Marines, and they've got Carter Burke, who is a company man, building better worlds and all that. Initially, he comes off like he might be an okay guy with a little bit of sleaze. You're not quite sure in the beginning. As the movie goes on, he just says and does things that just don't feel right. They don't seem right, but he still seems like he might be okay until... What happened when they found the colonists, and it was all very bad, and of course there were aliens running rampant, they had two of the facehuggers, which is what infects people. If you have not seen it, go watch it. Great movie, very scary. And okay, time. He finds Ripley and the one child survivor of the colony in a room by themselves, and he opens the containers those creatures are in, lets them out, and basically traps them in a room so they will get infected. Totally just betraying him, and then he turns all the monitors off so nobody can see what's wrong. Oh, it was a very underhanded and sneaky betrayal. It was...
Well, they were trying to gather those aliens for samples.
Right, the company he worked for wanted the biological sample for production for the military, or their branch of the military or whatever, so it was worth a lot of money. That was the gist of it. It all came down to money and advancing his own agenda. So, greed, just backstabbing, betrayal, it's good stuff. And I had a whole list I had 10 more. So, but we don't have time for that. We have well used our time, I think. Any final thoughts?
No, I just knew you were going to fit Star Wars on there. Figured you would fit Aliens on there.
I had a Star Trek one too.
I was going to say I couldn't think of anything for Star Trek. And
it was one of the lower ones, but I'll tell you later. Anyway, that's all our time. Thanks so much for watching Screen It or Stream It.
And remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesdays because that's when we go.